everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would ask our town clerk, Linda Babrica, if she would please do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. Thank you, Linda. Aw. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the May Islip Town Board meeting. I have a few announcements. As the warm weather arrives on Long Island, no rain today, I hope, many of us are drawn to the water, and as always, safety is our prime concern. This Saturday, May 17th through the 23rd, is National Safe Boating Week. The town has been hosting boater safety courses for both residents and non-residents, and there are 2 sessions still remaining. The next will be running this Saturday, May 17th, and the last on Saturday, June 14th. All boaters, as per New York State legislation, are required to have certification as of January 25. You can call our Cultural Affairs Office at 224-5430, and they will give you information on these courses. This Saturday, we'll also be hosting our annual Spring Stop Day. Stop throwing out pollutants, so it's an opportunity to get rid of those unused paint cans or any other items that you have that are potentially hazardous and harmful to our environment. They can be dropped off at the STOP program that will be held Saturday from 9 to 2 p.m. the 17th at our recycling facility on Lincoln Avenue in Sayville. Also this Saturday, the town is hosting a free open house for veterans. Please join us in the Veterans Advisory Board for a valuable health and wellness event hosted to support veterans and their families. It will take place from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock at Brookwood Hall in the ballroom on Irish Lane. There will be a light breakfast and lunch also served, so hopefully help spread the news to our veterans to attend. And we will now move to the public portion. And to just remind everyone, you have 3 minutes to address the board on any concern that you may have. Public hearing first? Excuse me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, there is a public hearing. That's why I should look at the script. Okay, for the board's consideration this afternoon, we have 2 scheduled public hearings, and I would ask the town clerk to please read the first hearing notice.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Item number 1, to consider amending the Town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this particular change? Hearing none, motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing and offer the resolution for its adoption.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the second hearing notice.
Item number 2, to consider entering into an airline use and lease agreement with Avelo Airlines Incorporated at Long Island MacArthur Airport.
There are no cards that have been signed to speak on this hearing. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution.
We have a motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. And we will now go to the public portion. Again, just to remind everyone, you have 3 minutes on any concerns, topics, whatever. Compliments, we'll take them too. But again, it's not a question and answer, and you do have 3 minutes. There is a timer, and I would like to call the first speaker, and that would be Mylin Han.
Good afternoon, members of the town board. My name is Mylin Hahn.
Mylene, if you would please just speak into the microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mylin Hahn. I'm a lifelong resident at Bayshore in Brentwood, and I currently work as a counselor with Youth Enrichment Services in Islip in Brentwood. I want to talk about today's opposed proposal to allow the cannabis dispensary in our community. This issue is deeply personal. I grew up here. I went to school with many of your children and grandchildren, and in my work over the 8 years, I've seen the firsthand impact of cannabis can have, especially with the increase of access. I worked with a rising number of clients suffering from cannabis-induced psychosis, many of them with addiction that led to destructive behavior, legal troubles, and broken families. We saw similar patterns when liquor stores expanded, and even with regulation, increased the visibility, normalizing, especially with young people. When addiction takes hold, it does not just harm the individual, but harms the family, their future, and the fabric of the community. Supporters of the dispensary often point the medical benefits of the safety rules, but in my practice, many dispensaries are staffed with people with no medical training. Customers are left relying on advice from bud tenders who aren't qualified to consider health conditions, medication interactions, or mental health risk. This is dangerous especially for young and vulnerable people. There's also a false promise that legal dispensaries will reduce the black market. Legal cannabis is often more expensive, so many users, especially young ones, still turn to unregulated sources. More dispensaries would eliminate illegal sales. They'll just make cannabis more visible in acceptance, increasing the use and demand. So I urge you in the long term, not just think of the officials, but as parents, grandparents, and neighbors. Is this really what you want best for our town? Please vote in not allowing cannabis shops in our community, and let's protect what we built and not repeat the same mistakes in our past. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mylene. Next speaker, Maria Quiroga. I'm a little bit taller. There we go. Yes, Maria Quiroga.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Maria Quiroga. I have been a proud resident of the town of Islip for over 20 years. My family chose to settle in Central Islip, and 15 years later, I made the decision to raise my own family in West Islip. I am a bilingual licensed social worker and currently serve as the clinical director for Youth Enrichment Services, where we provide care and support for children and adolescents between the ages of 5 and 21. At the last meeting, I heard a bunch of data and research regarding this issue. Today, I'm not here to debate statistics that can be interpreted in favor of one side or the other. I am here to speak to the reality that we live here in Islip every day, in our clinics and programs. Let me be clear, this is not about the legalization of cannabis. We're not claiming that legal dispensaries will be selling cannabis to minors. I truly hope and believe that no legal shop will ever do such a thing. We all know marijuana remains an illegal substance for adolescents. What I am talking about today is perception, especially how our youth perceive the presence of legal cannabis shops in their own communities. We have seen it with vaping. When something is legal for adults and available in their own neighborhood, young people often think it's just a matter of time before it's okay for me too. As a clinician working on the front lines, I can assure you that this has everything to do with addiction. Every day we work with young people in crisis, some who are referred to our clinics struggling with substance misuse, often starting with substances that were perceived as harmless or legal. Let me also speak as a mother and an immigrant in this community. The word in West Islip right now is, don't worry, it's not coming to our town. It's probably gonna be in Brentwood, Central Islip, or maybe Bayshore. If in 2025 we're still comfortable with that mindset, then we have a far deeper issue to address, one of equity, responsibility, and care for all communities in the town of Islip. To our town supervisor, Angie Carpenter, thank you for your leadership and commitment from day one to opt out. For those considering to opt in, I invite you, please, come to visit our clinics. And speak with the youth we serve. Understand that what this decision really means. Because choosing to opt in is, in many ways, choosing to opt out of the spirit of Islip Goes Purple. Let's not negotiate money for the well-being of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, William Escobar.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Escobar, and thank you again for allowing me to speak here today before you. I come to you guys as a concerned parent, a citizen of Brentwood, graduate myself, long-term resident of Brentwood and Central Islip. You know, after moving away after some time and returning back to Suffolk County and living in Central Islip, I stand before you very concerned as a citizen, but as a neighbor, a friend, an advocate for the well-being of our community, first off. We are here to discuss a matter that deeply affects us all, the proposal to open up marijuana dispensaries in our neighborhood. While we understand the economic arguments in favor of these establishments, we must consider the broader implications for our community, especially one that is already facing numerous challenges. Our neighborhood is a vibrant tapestry of cultures, histories, and dreams, yet it is no secret that we face significant socioeconomic challenges. High unemployment rates, underfunded schools, and limited access to health care are just a few of those issues that we are grappling each day. Introducing marijuana dispensaries into the environment could exacerbate, and these problems would not alleviate them. One of our greatest responsibilities is to protect and nurture our youth, first and foremost. Studies have shown that increased availability of marijuana can lead to higher rates of use among teenagers. In a community where many young people already struggle with limited opportunities and peer pressure, the presence of dispensaries could send the wrong message. We must ask ourselves, do we want our children to grow up in an environment where drug use is normalized? While marijuana may have medical benefits for some, its recreational use can lead to health issues such as addiction, mental health disorders, and impaired cognitive function. Our community already faces significant health disparities. Adding another potential health risk could strain our local health care and resources even further. Now, like I said, I stand before you as an Islip resident, a Brentwood graduate, proud CI resident, and I'm tired of the stigma. And I am not for the bringing of dispensaries into my community. And I thank you, Supervisor Angie Carpenter, for opting out as well. I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Charles Gandolfo.
Charles Gandolfo, thank you to the supervisor and the board for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. All I can say is we have a legal dispensary in Babylon. We really don't need one in Islip. I've been living in Islip all my life. To bring other different things in than I did last time, I spoke to teachers in our area, police officers, Suffolk County, troopers from Troop L in Islip. They're having a hard time controlling, DWI checks, but they can't check the marijuana properly. This is a serious problem. Just look at the accidents in the last few weeks, all related to either DWI, drug-related, marijuana-related, whatever. It's causing many injuries, and we have to face the fact. This is a real problem. And I don't want to go over everything that was said already, but this is also a stepping stone for young people that have addictive personalities, and it goes into, they could get bipolar, schizophrenia, I could go on and on. This is a serious problem. Why bring the society back in time? Let's go forward. One more thing, licenses, which I didn't realize, they're selling them on the market for $85 a piece. So I don't want to hear that, they got to be 18 and over. These college kids, the majority of them have fake IDs. I've seen it personally. It's a big problem. Other than that, we really have to do something to stop this. If you guys have children, grandchildren, is this what you want your children to use as a guideline? What we're doing is making it a stepping stone to go further and make it worse. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Jim Schlau.
Hi, Big Jim here. Let's see, I saw your Messenger article. I agree with you. I can't believe we agree about the marijuana. We don't need that. Now, 2 meetings ago, I was here about the $3,900, $3,600 tax on the school. You said, go to the school district. It's not the school district's fault. You know that. You don't want to say what's really going on around here. Remember, I own the house. It's my house, and I'm covering the bills, me. I'm not renting any rooms. So if you got 9 adults in the house plus kids, you're paying $400 each. Okay? You got that? You know, that's not too complicated. I got on C-SPAN, and I was lucky enough to talk to Ann Coulter about that, because she wrote a lot of books about this migrant influx that we got of illegals. And these are illegal apartments. And you know it. And I don't know if you're in cahoots with the Chamber of Commerce for all this cheap labor. I don't know what's going on. Because I tell you, you know, here we go with the sidewalks again. I got 23 cars on Brightside for 10 years. And I've been coming here and talking about that and calling public safety. Oh, it's not our job. It's the police. Lorenzo's office fixed that. In one phone call to Lorenzo's office. You hear what I'm saying while you're looking at your papers over there? Lorenzo's office fixed that. Do you hear what I'm saying? 23 cars were off the road in one day. I've been calling public safety and the police for 10 years and coming here. Why couldn't you lead me to a solution? That's what I want to know. And now, my garbage thing here. All right, $400 and something here. You got this big mobile home here that's putting out a garbage can now. He lives in it. He doesn't have to pay any taxes. What a riot. You know, you can't make this stuff up, really. So why doesn't public safety take care of the cars on the sidewalks and are parked halfway on the street and halfway on the grass? Why? No answer? You're the supervisor. What is going on? I get the same song and dance all the time in Lorenzo's office. Bada bing, bada boom, they're off the sidewalks. What a great guy they are. He's doing this because I'm a veteran, and he has a great secretary. Take these pictures here, somebody, so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, that's it for today. But remember, they didn't censor me on C-SPAN when I told them about what's going on around here.
Thank you, Mr. Schlau, and thank you for your service. Next speaker, Alan Foley.
Good afternoon. How you doing? So I'm here to contest the apparent award of the thermoplastic reflective pavement markings contract. I'm aware that it's not on the agenda today, but for the last 2 months we've been trying to get a clear understanding as to why the change in trade jurisdiction is taking place and have been unsuccessful in getting a response from the town. The previous holder of this contract for many years has always used painters, as seen in their certified payrolls, and was part of a New York State painting apprenticeship program, as well as other trades. The bidder you apparently intend to award this to does not have the appropriate apprenticeship affiliations. They claim they don't need it because they're going to perform the work with a long line truck. All the work covered under this contract, that would be physically impossible. There's certain aspects, a lot of aspects of this contract that it's just impossible to use that tool as they're claiming. Therefore, painters would have to be used. That's according to the New York State Department of Labor and the past practice in the town of Islip. You've received 4 bids for this contract. Only one of the bidders has all of 3 of the appropriate apprenticeship affiliations. We're just looking to maintain the long-standing jurisdiction that has always been practiced in Islip and all over New York State. The only response we've been able to get is, we appreciate your inquiry. Based upon the direction of the town attorney, we are not changing the status of the required apprenticeship program. A town attorney shouldn't be able to change long-standing trade jurisdiction on a whim. New York State Department of Labor has tried to get in touch, has sent emails, Matt Myers, to weigh in on this issue. I know he can't tell you how to, how you put out your contracts, but again, we're just looking to maintain what's always been. The previous contract holder for the town of Islip, for Babylon, for Huntington, for all over Long Island, that company is no longer around, the Fenceman. They've always maintained a painting apprenticeship program. Now, a new company has come to Long Island to pick up that work now that that company is no longer in business. And we're just looking to maintain, again, the jurisdiction that's been set by New York State DOL. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Raymond Festa?
A little shorter. Good afternoon. My name is Ray Festa, and I represent District Council 9 of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. I'm here today to formally contest the recent thermoplastic pavement markings contract let out by the town of Islip. The basis of our challenge is rooted in New York State Labor Law 816-B. We have made multiple attempts to communicate this to the town since mid-March of this year, early in the bidding process. This statute gives the state and local authorities the right to require participation in a state-approved apprentice program for any public contracting involved in construction. I first want to commend the town of Islip for adopting this requirement and its contracts. This policy is critical for both workforce development and upholding safety standards in the construction industry. However, our concern lies in the proper apprentice program classification that the bidders have provided. According to the statute, and I will quote directly, a public agency may require the contractor and subcontractor have, prior entering into such contract, an apprenticeship agreement for appropriate for the type of work and scope being performed. This is precisely why we're challenging the bidder that the town intends to award. The bidder does not currently maintain an apprenticeship agreement with the proper trade classification, specifically that of a painter line striper. The classification is not arbitrary. It has long been recognized by the New York State Department of Labor as the appropriate trade for this contract work, so much that the contractor who has previously held this contract had almost exclusively performed the work with the use of a painter line striper. While it's true that a laborer and an operating engineer may be involved while then operating a long line striping truck and a boiler, they do not cover the full scope and work required in this contract. Only a painter, line striper possesses the trade-specific skills apprentice program to completely comply with the outlined work. Moreover, on April 7th of this year, the Department of Labor reached out to both the representatives of DPW and the town's attorney's office, confirming that a painter, line striper is the appropriate trade for this contract. They clarification, while operating engineers may assist in equipment operation, only painters can perform the aspects of line striping. Therefore, any bidder relying solely on labor and operating apprenticeship programs is not compliant with the statutory requirements. To fully compliant, the bidder must be affiliated with an apprentice program for painters. Finally, it's important to recognize that historically this contract has been held by a contractor who performed the work exclusively with union-affiliated painter line stripers. Participation in state-approved apprentice program for painters. This can be verified through certified payrolls records previously submitted to the town. Once again, I would like to thank the town of Islip for upholding this critical apprentice requirement. It ensures not only development of skills workers in Long Island region, but promotes the highest safety and quality standards for the public projects. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Festa. If you could give a copy of your remarks to the clerk, based on what you have just said and the statutes you cited and the comments, Mr. Foley, I'm going to ask our town attorney to review it one more time along with the commissioner to make sure we are in fact in compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Next speaker, Patrick O'Farrell.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me speak. Here, first of all, I'd like to thank all the previous speakers who were speaking on the marijuana licensing. I commend them for sharing the same values I do. First of all, I'm a longtime resident of Islip. I am a town employee who is speaking as an individual, not connected with the town. My thoughts and comments are my own. The subject matter of marijuana decriminalization by the state. So the state has decriminalized marijuana possession and sale, but it's still a violation of the federal law. It's a violation of the Controlled Substance Abuse Act, Controlled Substance Act. The town should not license the sale and distribution of marijuana. If it does, it would make the town a partner, potentially subject to violation of the federal law, Controlled Substance Act, especially since there will be no especially since there will be a financial connection or payment to the town. There's a potential here for a deep pocket civil suit if a purchaser from the licensed premise sells to someone who is damaged by it, or someone who is damaged by the result of that person using it, because the town is implying that it's inspecting and regulating this licensed establishment. Because it's a federal violation of the law, still, it's considered a classified, excuse me. Well, anyway, it's still a violation of the federal law as it stands right now. It presents a banking issue. That law has not changed with the transmission of funds for the sale of controlled substance. Housing aid, we have housing aid in this town. Anyone who uses a controlled substance can be evicted and, or will be evicted from it and not eligible for benefits of Section 8. So the funds that we receive for the housing could be impacted. The use of marijuana, as other people have said, the use of marijuana by our youth, the most vulnerable, has skyrocketed since the decriminalization of marijuana. It's just skyrocketed. I have attachments that I'm going to submit to the clerk to show that, all recent studies. It saddens me that board members who I know and believe shared similar values are considering this legislation to opt in to marijuana sales. I'm sorry. I'll leave my comments.
Thank you.
Oh, here it is.
Next speaker, Debbie Kavanaugh.
Last month, I spoke about opting out. I still believe we should be opting out, and thank you, Supervisor, for leading the way in opting out. I did drop letters off with the town clerk's office, with residents from Central Islip signing that they want to see the town board opt out. And this town of Central Islip is not a dumping ground for cannabis stores. Put them in, if you're going to opt in, put them in your backyard, not mine. We don't want it in Central Islip. It's too damaging to our students, our kids, popcorn lung, brain damage, bad hearts develop from it, and like everybody else said, it is a gateway drug to everything else. So I do believe opting out is the right decision, and thank you again, Supervisor, for leading the way in that. My second issue, I was speaking to the ambulance, Central Islip Hauppauge. They said that the town controller decreased their funding. I was kind of appalled by that because of all the new housing going into Central Islip, and that we have an increase in calls due to all the new housing. So I'd like you to take a look at it and restore funding to the Central Islip Hauppauge Ambulance Corps. My third issue probably hasn't reached you guys yet, but we have a new developer that wants to put in a charter school for high school students. The current charter school that now stands in Central Islip does not fulfill the state needs. There's no gym, there's no cafeteria, the kids eat in their classroom, they get no physical exercise. Now there's this new group that wants to come in and put in a charter school for high school students in Central Islip, junior high school students in Brentwood. Again, they only have to have a third of their teaching staff licensed. They do not have to follow New York State regulations for graduation requirements. And this is a hazardous to the development of our students' mind, brain, and moving on to college for further development. They'll fall far behind. So again, when they come to the town board and ask for location approval, I applaud you to deny. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Patty Montanino.
I'm here today. A couple of months ago, there was a gentleman here who spoke about the elected officials needing a surety bond, and he was 100% correct. Everyone, and you all should already know this because the residents pay for you to go to the associations of town to learn how to run a government. And it tells you right there, it's mandatory. If you do not have surety bonds or undertaking, you can't sit up there. And Mr. O'Connor, you're a lawyer, a full-time lawyer. And you should already know that too. All the classes that everybody's supposed to be taking. There's also a class online that this board and all elected and appointed officials have to take. And you have to pass it, or you do not get to sit up there and collect the taxpayers' money. And those were taken to protect the residents from fraud, misusing funds, and failure to comply cannot be excused. You should check with the associations of town because either the oath and the undertaking or the bonds of sureties, they have to be filed in the clerk's office. And according to my FOIL, you guys don't have any. Okay, it says nobody has anything. So you should not have been allowed to be sitting up there and telling us what we have to do or what we have to comply to when none of you can comply to it yourselves. The supervisor's department, it's even your own town code, Town Code 47C-3, Town Code 440B-3, Public Safety, Supervisor, Public Works, anybody who is a elected official or appointed, you need to have this to protect us, okay? We need to be protected because if you steal, if you misuse funds, we can actually sue you individual and you must come up with the funds to return. Almost like, I'm kind of wondering where the $25 million that was overcharged in taxes to the Bayshore Mall. What happened to that money? $25 million. What happened to it in the last 4 years? What happened to $25 million? Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next speaker, Gregory Fine.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Fine. I'm here on behalf of Metro Express Services. We are a roadway markings contractor in Long Island, family-owned business for the last 50 years. Born and raised, my whole family's been from Long Island. And we're calling on behalf of the thermoplastic roadway markings bid that Alan and Ray spoke about from DC9. This bid has been with one company for the last 30 years. There's been no other bidders. We are now the apparent lowest bidder by 25%. We are union, local, and looking to do this work for the town of Islip. As Alan and Ray said, this work has always been done by painters. We are currently trying to work with DC9 as well to do this work, but we're finding out from various people that the town is looking to award this to the second lowest bidder, Safety Markings, who is the father of the company doing this work for the last 30 years. Again, all we ask is to have fair competition, equal, open bidding process, and to allow companies like ourselves to actually have an able and equal opportunity to do this work. Again, we're local, we're a union. We've submitted all the paperwork in regards to the apprenticeship program as well, and we've gotten 0 responses in the last 2 months as far as what's going on with this bid. And I thank you for your time and consideration.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Fine. Next speaker, Mariah Segninos. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mariah Signias, and I work as a prevention specialist with Youth Enrichment Services, a nonprofit organization whose direct mission is to always serve and empower our youth and their families while creating a safe and healthy environment. And by legalizing the sale of cannabis use, will not maintain that promise that we have as our organization. I am a mother to a beautiful 6-year-old son, a Bayshore alumni, and I have lived in the town of Islip for over 25 years. As a parent and resident of the town of Islip, I confidently express my strong opposition to the legalized sale of recreational cannabis in our community. Allowing dispensaries or consumption sites in our town sends the wrong message to our children and undermines our passionate efforts as for our parents, our educators, and our public health professionals who are working hard every day to promote healthy, drug-free lifestyles. As a community, it is important we stand strong together in opting out on the legal sale of cannabis in our communities. The presence of cannabis retail locations in our neighborhoods would increase access and exposure to substances that are harmful to the developing innocent minds of our children and our teenagers, and more so, promote the use of this substance use. I am deeply concerned about the normalization of marijuana use, the potential for increased impaired driving, and the long-term public health consequences that this could bring. As a parent and longtime resident of the town of Islip, I believe we have a duty to prioritize the well-being and future of our youth, and also ourselves as well. I respectfully urge our town officials to continue opposing the establishment of cannabis dispensaries and on-site consumption lounges within our town of Islip. Our community should be a safe and supportive environment for families to raise our children, free from influences, peer pressures, and risk associated with recreational drug use, and easier access to purchase cannabis products. Thank you for your attention to this matter and for your continued efforts to protect the health and safety of our community. The impact of our voices is strongly held when we recognize each other's concerns and always strive to create and continue growing a safe and healthy environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah. Next speaker, Andy Cross.
Andy Cross, Bayshore, New York. And once again, I'm here about the NYS real property tax law line on my tax bill. When the tax went up 41% one year, you said it was due to the price of housing tanking. Now the tax went up 103%. Let me say that again, 103% this year. With the price of housing going up monthly, why is this tax increase of 103% and going up out of control? How do you sleep at night with 103% tax increase? Before parking meters in Bayshore, at the meeting at the library, everyone who showed up was against the meters, yet somehow they were installed anyway. And how do you sleep after that? Everybody was against it, and they installed them anyway. So you didn't listen to the wishes of the people who didn't want them in the first place. How about the 5-story apartment building in Bayshore with tax breaks? And now I heard that the fire department also has to buy new equipment that the taxpayers in Bayshore are going to have to pay for. How do you sleep at night with that? the approval of the 14-story apartment complex in Edgewood, while everybody at the town board meeting for it was against it, and you approved it. How do you sleep at night with decisions like this? You're supposed to be representing the people of the town. Is it about time the whole town board start listening to town residents and represent people of the town? At the town board meeting, all residents spoke out against the pot shops. Are you going to vote against it, or are you going to listen to the people of the town and do the right thing like you were elected to do? And after the pot thing, we can start, if you disapprove that like everybody wants, then we can start listening to the residents of Sayville who don't want that apartment building in Sayville.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Next speaker, Greg Pepe.
I'd like to pick up where a fellow resident left off with the Westfield Mall, or the South Shore Mall in Bay Shore. According to Newsday, we owe back in excess of $25 million. And this is supposed to be paid back by the Islip Town residents, as well as the Bay Shore School District also paying this money back. I'd like to know, what are we talking about as far as an increase now in our town tax? Is it a latte from Dunkin' Donuts, or, I mean, how much of an increase to pay this back? It's 4 years that these people were awarded to be paid back in tax. All right. Secondly, with the moratorium on this battery energy storage facility that they're planning to put down on Rambro Drive, I want the people to know that it's not considered BESS. BESS is a storage system that's installed there. What's behind that, the applicant, is Key Capture Energy, LLC. It's owned by a South Korean company. Okay, they're worldwide. It's a huge conglomerate. And they have a field office up in Albany, and they're pressing for these battery storage systems to be built throughout the state. New York State, by the way, we produce 80% hydroelectric power. And speaking with some officials at PSE&G, it wouldn't take much, because the transmission lines are already across the Long Island Sound, to bring that Niagara power down to Long Island. But this is all politics, Angie. This is all done politically, because these systems are hugely hazardous. The batteries themselves burn. The fires cannot be put out. Okay, there was one in East Hampton about 2.5 years ago. The monitoring company was located in Florida. By the time they notified them up here in East Hampton to put this fire out, it was really something to handle, okay, because of the dangerous toxins that they give off. So, and if you look at the Morse Landing fire out in Berkeley, California, that a resident was bringing up, it was flames as high as 150 feet in the air. You cannot control these flames and fires, okay? Southold, the same thing. I went to a Southold meeting about 2 weeks ago. They put a 1-year moratorium on theirs because they're planning to put it down on one of the streets there on a farm field, and people are up in arms about that. Because if it does ignite, it pollutes the air, the water, and the soil. So this should be not only a year, it should be done away with totally because of the hazardous nature of these battery storage systems. But I just want you to know that it's the South Korean entity that is profiting the most from this, okay? It's not benefiting the people. We're still paying high rates for our electric bills.
Thank you, Greg. Next speaker, Laura Rigo.
Hello, I'm Laura Rigo. I've been a resident here for 35 years. Oops, there goes my water. Supervisor Carpenter, I don't know if you remember me, but you visited me once in my home, and you gave me incredible advice how to be a leader for civic associations in our neighborhood in the sense of beautification. Through the years, I worked very hard on East Islip Main Street. I started the Beautification Society. I worked very closely with Jean Murphy, who used to be the commissioner of the planning department, Dan Dolman, lots of politicians, Phil Boyle, Tom Silmy, Flatterman, and it was very, I know everybody here had such great issues, so I feel a little uncomfortable talking about beautification, but it is important. So we invested many hours coming up with a streetscape for the town of East Islip. And I think what prompted me to reach out to you was when I first moved here, Islip was creating this whole historical plan. And I was like, why don't we continue the efforts into East Islip? So anyway, as I got more involved, I started writing for grants to our politicians. I secured lots of funding. And those lampposts that are, I don't know if anybody's here from East Islip, the lampposts that are on our main street and any of the brick pavers were from the money that I was able to get from all my grant writing. I did it for many years, and recently, I was a little taken back by what has gone up by the drifts and the Francesca's area. We worked so hard walking up and down Main Street, coming up with a plan of creating a quaint Main Street, because it's very difficult in East Islip that we have these strip malls. And when I left, I thought we had a plan in place, and when I reached out to the planning department recently, they were told that they had no idea of anything that I've ever done. There's no evidence of Jean's streetscape. So I said, well, I guess we can't go backwards. Let's move forwards. And when the next thing that goes on, please reach out to me, because I'm back. I will help, and I will be the voice of East Islip. Well, I know my time is going to be up, but I just wanted to show you, this is all the work that we did. Well, if I need to show them. Is that okay? Go ahead. So hours I've spent in the Wallbounds area. I worked with the owner, Sylvia Mermel, and everybody was on board. Even Dunkin' Donuts, they went along with the streetscape plan. That. So recently, by the drifts in Francesco's, I checked to see that they were following our plan, and everybody there said, oh, there's a picture of it. Go to the corner. And this is what was shown.
Laura, I hate to say this,
All
but
right, just turn it around. That is not what we got. We got lights, and it looks like Las Vegas. So I was horrified. I came to the meeting I asked for a meeting, and like I said, moving forward, I will be the voice again, because they said that nobody ever speaks up.
okay, well, I would just suggest, first of all, we've been doing the TOI 360. Let me finish, and had a series of workshops across the town. There will be another town-wide workshop, so there will be another opportunity to come forward. And in the meantime, I would also suggest, if you're going to be the voice of the East Islip community, you may want to reach out also to the Chamber of Commerce, because I think, yeah, good.
Gary joined the meeting as well.
Okay, great.
I know I took so much time, but just in leading, I just want to say recently, after I met with the planning department and they said they would listen, my mother-in-law has cancer, so I've been visiting all the New York Cancer and Blood facilities. This is what other towns get. This is in Babylon. Beautiful, just that plan. Don't declutter it.
Laura,
That's not what we got.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Is that like the hook?
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're passionate. We understand that. We're here to listen. Thank you. Next speaker, Christina and Tom Hanley.
Hello, thank you for having us. I'm Christina Hanley. This is Erin. My husband was here. He was in his Class A FDNY uniform, but he had to hop to a funeral, so I'm sorry he can't speak on my behalf. But I'm joined by my fellow neighbor, Cassie, and her little one, and her baby, Grayson. I know we are representing right now Community Road, the street that we live on. I know I've been hearing a lot of bigger issues today as far as this meeting goes, but when you get to number 35, please, with special events for block parties, please consider saying yes to our block. We do live on a cut road from Main Street to Cooper, to Union. So word on the street when we got this, tried to get this permit going, there was, oh, they might deny you because of St. Patrick's Church at the end of the block. I did call the school to let them know the proposed date, and at that point, they said that that's fine, they can let their parishioners know, and we can work around that, but we just would like you to consider, we have, out of the 22 houses on our block, we have 21 kids under 15, 12 under 5. So just please remember Erin when you get to that issue. Thank you.
Christina, that particular block party is number 1 on the agenda. I have not gotten any communication of any opposition, so I'm sure it will be fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming down. I hope you have a sunny day. Next speaker, Mark Soto.
Town supervisor and town officials, I just want to thank you for listening to the community and understanding the issues that are concerned to us. Although I am not a resident of town of Islip, I've been dedicated to the children and families of the town of Islip for the last 5 years. I've been involved with prevention. I've been involved at Pronto, at Youth Enrichment Services, and I'm currently the executive director of Liga de Justicia Foundation, supporting families and children within our town. When I talk about our town, I talk about our kids. Our kids will be impacted negatively by having dispensaries in the town of Islip. It took a lot of courage to opt out the first time, and I'm asking for each of you to dig into your hearts and souls to understand that the ripple effects that a dispensary could have in our area would be something that could be very, very horrifying. It could affect first responders, me being a firefighter. It could affect young children and babies in cars. We oftentimes are driving on Southern State and other roads, and we smell the marijuana. So the more access to marijuana, the more usage, the more impact on our young people, the more peer pressure on young adults who perhaps are going to purchase for younger children and folks who are not eligible to purchase. And it's something that is horrifying to me to have this potential option on the table today. I can tell you that all of the youth agencies that I work closely with are opposed to having dispensaries in our towns, in any of the hamlets. And I can also say that there is a concern that if there are dispensaries and if you decide to vote for them and they wind up becoming a reality, that those dispensaries should be equitably distributed amongst all hamlets, not just one, not just two, or not just those hamlets that perhaps don't have the voice that many of the people here have, or the influence that many of the people here have. So I would ask you to strongly consider one tragedy would actually outweigh all of the revenue generation that we could potentially have in having these dispensaries in our area. And if those folks want to get the product, they can go somewhere else and they can get them and not have them at their ease of short distance. And of course, our outside fairs will be impacted. So whether it's Seafest and other types of events, those outdoor activities, I guarantee you we will not have enough law enforcement to manage the usage of the additional marijuana that will be used in our hamlets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Next speaker, Lisa Pace.
Hi, Lisa Pace. I'm a resident of the town of Islip my whole life. I'm very much against legalizing the sale of marijuana in this town. Town of Islip has always been a leader. We need to stand up. We need to lead again. Just because Babylon allows it or other towns allow it doesn't mean we should. We have to protect our children. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I hear the kids speaking in the back of my car. But they made it legal. It can't be that bad. I don't know. I never knew of anyone who first started drugs and said, oh, let me go to cocaine. They didn't start with cocaine. They started with marijuana. It clearly is a gateway drug. To make money from this, okay, you can make money some other way. There's always ways to make money. It doesn't have to be from harming our children or influencing them. They see that it's legal. They think, oh, okay, maybe it's not so bad. But their little brains don't understand that they shouldn't be doing that so young. They can't. It's going to destroy them. We know that. There's studies that say that. You have to be older to do that, but kids don't listen. They see legalizing, they think, maybe it's not bad. I don't want that in our town. Our town is a leader. I'm proud of the town. I've lived here my whole life. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I walk around court. The smell, the stench of marijuana in that courthouse is disturbing. I don't understand. People have to drive. They get there. Why are they driving and smoking pot? They're relaxing themselves. They're relaxing their responses to accidents. Why would this be acceptable? But somehow people think it is. Oh, somebody else is doing it, so it must be okay. Let's be the leader, as the town of Islip has always been, not allow this. Final thing is, please let all the constituents know, if this is approved, it has to be approved with the same covenants in West Islip and all the other hamlets. If it's approved in this hamlet, it's approved everywhere. Don't tell people that, oh, it's not going to West Islip. It's going everywhere. As soon as you approve one application, that's it. It's everywhere. So please, town board members, tell your constituents, once this is approved, it'll be allowed to go in your community. Don't mislead them. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the cards I have. I'll take a motion to close the public portion. Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor, opposed. The public portion is closed. We will now move to the agenda. The first item being the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. Mr. Walzer. No, that's not the way it works. I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Walzer.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the agency board. John Walzer, Executive Director, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip, New York. I have several items for your consideration today.
Before you proceed, we need a motion to convene.
Oh, yeah, geez.
By Councilman O'Connor. I'll second that. The IDA is convened, a quorum being present. You may proceed.
Thank you. Once again, thank you and good afternoon. The first item I have for your consideration this afternoon is to approve the minutes from the meeting of this agency on April 8th, 2025.
Motion.
Motion. Is there a second? All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
The next item for consideration is a resolution authorizing the agency to enter into an agreement with Executive Consultants of New York. Executive Consultants is a career consulting firm. They will be conducting the Job Search Boot Camp this fall. The agency will sponsor this program and offer it to Islip residents free of charge.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman McElway. Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is an authorizing resolution for a project that you saw last month that we had an inducement. This is a relocation and expansion of food manufacturer Chocolate Works at 2100 Pacific Street in Hauppauge.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. I do have one more item I would like for you to consider today. This is a late edition. I forwarded this resolution to everyone yesterday afternoon. So first I would respectfully ask that we suspend the rules and include this item today.
Councilman O'Connor?
I was just going to have a question on process. My understanding was that a councilman needed to make the motion to suspend the rules yet. Okay, I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion from Councilman O'Connor to suspend the rules so that we can consider that resolution, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? To suspend the rules and entertain this motion?
Thank you.
Opposed? Okay.
We
It's now
suspended the
before us.
rules. Now we have to.
Now you may
Thank you.
present it.
So the last item that I have for you is a resolution authorizing the agency to make a financial contribution of $25,000 to the MacArthur Business Alliance to help fund an economic impact analysis of the business district located within the surrounding area of MacArthur Airport. Incidentally, the Suffolk County Economic Development Corporation has agreed to contribute $75,000 to this
Okay, so we're not
study as well.
solely funding it. There are others that are contributing. That's great. Are there any questions?
I'll make the motion.
Hearing none. Motion by Councilman Lorenzo. Second. I'll second that. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Any other business?
I have some new business as an agency board member. Mr. Walzer, on September 14th of 2021, this agency board granted IDA benefits to Venture One Development Services, LLC, doing business at 2950 Veterans Memorial Highway in Bohemia. Do you recall?
That was, yes, an industrial, a spec industrial
Yes,
project, we call it.
One of the conditions that this board had on granting those IDA benefits was that the applicant for the ID benefits represented to this board that they were going to create 25 new jobs in the town of Islip. Do you recall that?
Yep.
We're now in May of 2025. The property sits vacant with 0 jobs created for the town of Islip. As part of the resolution that this agency board adopted for this particular IDA benefit, Section 5 says, counsel to the agency is authorized and directed to work with transaction counsel, parentheses, Nixon Peabody LLP, to prepare for submission to the agency all documents necessary to effect transactions described in the foregoing resolution. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay, so I would just ask at the next meeting of the agency board that you, as the executive director, reach out to Nixon Peabody LLP for an opinion letter as to when it would be appropriate for this agency to claw back those IDA benefits. I'd like that letter at the next agency board meeting if I could. Thank you, Mr. Walzer. I have nothing further.
Is there any other business?
That's all I have for you today.
Motion to adjourn. Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? The IDA board stands adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Walzer.
Thank you.
Item 2, Town Board approval to designate Taurus CNS as the sole source dealer for crushing and screening equipment utilized at the town's compost facility. Are there any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor. Second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 3, Town Board authorization to clean up or secure certain properties in the town of Islip. Mr. Panacci.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board, and the Town Clerk. Jeffrey Panacci, Assistant Town Attorney, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have 11 matters on for your consideration here this afternoon. Number 1, to board up and clean up the premises located at 10 Polly Drive in Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exist rectangular openings on the south and east sides of the foundation, allowing access to the interior of the dwelling, as well as the presence of overgrown vegetation and litter and debris on all sides of the property, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 2 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 3, to demolish the above-ground pool and 2 accessory structures at 28 Lexington Avenue in Brentwood. On this vacant property that now exists an oval-shaped above-ground pool in the rear yard with a pool liner that has been sliced to prevent it from holding water. There also exist 2 accessory structures in the rear yard that are in a state of decay and not structurally sound. After inspection, the above-ground pool and 2 accessory structures have been determined to be dangerous and unsecured due to presently existing an advanced state of disrepair by our senior building inspector. This constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 4, to board up and clean up the premises located at 101 West Plum Street in Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an open door and broken windows on the front of the dwelling, allowing access to its interior, a roof that's in a state of disrepair with unsound flashing, as well as the presence of litter and debris on the front, side, and rear yards of the property, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by, oh, I'm sorry. Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 5, to board up and clean up the premises located at 140 Pennsylvania Avenue in Bay Shore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an above-ground swimming pool that has an incomplete protective barrier surrounding it, a wooden fence on the west side of the dwelling that is not structurally sound with a missing section allowing access to the property, as well as the presence of litter and debris, including discarded household items, a wheelchair, and an unregistered red Ford Crown Victoria, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 6, to board up and clean up the premises located at 261 Ontario Street in Ronkonkoma. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an accessory structure attached to the north side wall of the main dwelling with an open door allowing access to its interior, as well as overgrown vegetation and the presence of litter and debris, including discarded propane tanks, vehicle tires, tarps, piping, and plastic containers, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Is that a vehicle under that cover that I see?
I presumably so.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 7, to clean up the premises located at 529 Spur Drive North in Bay Shore. On this vacant property, there now exists overgrown vegetation and litter and debris, including discarded pieces of siding, plywood, cardboard boxes, wood studs, and roofing materials on all sides of the property, which constitutes a nuisance, and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Jeff, is this house unoccupied?
It is unoccupied.
Was it ever occupied? It almost looks like it was recently built or refurbished.
There may be some ongoing work that has obviously been going on there since this process started. However, due to the fact that we've notified in accordance with what we are required to, and it's existed in that state for an extended period of time, we are presenting the resolution.
Okay. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 8, to board up the premises located at 957 Belmore Avenue in Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exist walls on the northwest corner of the dwelling that have deteriorated and an open garage door allowing access to the interior of the dwelling, as well as an unsecured accessory structure, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Number 9, to board up and clean up the premises located at 1201 Smithtown Avenue in Bohemia. On this vacant and unsecured property, that now exists in open windows on both floors of the dwelling, allowing access to its interior, as well as overgrown vegetation in the presence of litter and debris, including an unregistered black 2006 Hyundai Santa Fe sport utility vehicle, black-colored plastic bags, decaying wood, a blue cooler, a metal container, and 5-gallon buckets, which constitute a nuisance and create a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 10, to clean up the premises located at 1417 North Windsor Drive in Bayshore. On this vacant property, which was the location of a house fire, there now exists litter and debris, including burned wood, household furniture, and appliances, which constitutes a nuisance and creates a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Sorry.
I have not
Jeff,
had an
have
opportunity
you,
to speak. I was unaware of that. I had.
Okay, well, perhaps after we're done, you can speak with them because no one's filled out a card. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Continue.
And
Any questions on this? Hearing none, motion?
Jeff, after you speak to the homeowners who are here today, can we come back?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Come back up and
We'll hold
recall this item?
We'll hold this in abeyance.
We'll recall this? Yeah. Is that okay?
It takes us now to,
I actually have one more. I'm sorry. There was an add-on.
yes,
that
I
was
have pictures of it here.
Sure, that's number, would now be number 11. And this was a matter that was tabled for 30 days at the April Town Board meeting. And just to read the proposed resolution into the record again, number 11 would be to demolish a dwelling, accessory structure, and playhouse located at 376 Astor Drive in Sayville. On this vacant property, there now exists an unsecured main dwelling that has sustained extensive fire damage, creating opening in the walls of the dwelling, allowing access to its interior. There also exists a dilapidated accessory structure and playhouse in the rear yard. After inspection, the main dwelling, accessory structure, and playhouse have been determined to be in imminent danger of collapse by our senior building inspector, and that parts of the structures have already fallen. This constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire safety and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Madam Supervisor, I have a comment.
Yes, Councilman.
I've been working with Mr. Spitzfaden. My office has been working with Mr. Spitzfaden almost daily on this. He is at the finish line to get his demo permit with the building department. I spoke to Mr. Boza this morning, my office did actually, regarding it. I would request we make a motion to table it for another 30 days. This family has lost everything. They're trying to rebuild. Dealing with the insurance companies has not been easy, and getting all the proper disconnections and all that have not been easy. He's been working tirelessly on it. It is fenced in, the property, and he's right there at the finish line to get his demo permit. So I request to make a motion that we table this for another 30 days.
Would the condition of your motion be this is the last time we're going to retable this item?
Sure.
With that condition, I'll agree to tabling it because I've gotten a number of phone calls from people that live in the neighborhood and really want to see this taken care of. It's a real neighborhood nuisance. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is tabled.
And I will speak to the
Yes,
people
and then
come
we
back
have
in.
that here. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll, in the meantime, move on to the next item on the agenda, item 4, which are the bid awards. Are there any questions on any of them?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor. Second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Next item, authorization of town clerk to advertise for public hearing to amend the Town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lorenzo. Second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 6, authorization of the town clerk to advertise for public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter TC3, parking regulations. Any questions?
Mr. Schlau should have stuck around for this one. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 7, Town Board approval to accept the transfer of the maintenance of the traffic signal in front of Brentwood Firehouse Substation. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. 8, authorization supervisor to execute any and all documents in order to effectuate the assumption of an existing note and mortgage held by the town in connection with the sale of 23 Cortlandt Place, Bay Shore. Any questions? Motion? By Councilman McElway. I'll second that. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 9, authorization supervisor to execute a consent to an assignment and assumption agreement by and between the estate of Peter Cooper as Asinor and other interested leaseholders for certain real property located on Sexton Island in the Great South Bay. Any questions?
I have a few questions and comments and worked through this with the town attorney. Mr. Town Attorney, I've asked IT to put up the aerial photo of Sexton Island for the benefit of my colleagues, and that's the aerial photo of Sexton Island there. I have asked our wonderful folks, I've gotten a lot of help on this since my briefing on Friday, our wonderful folks in the building department to provide me, while the island itself is owned by the town of Islip, all of the people who have structures there are tenants, they're lessees. We are the landlord. And I've asked numerous people on that aerial to provide me with which home or which lot is the Cooper lot, and they were unable to tell me. So with the help of our building department, I identified that the Cooper lot, I think, is lots 8, 9, and 10. The only problem is we can't match up the lots 8, 9, and 10 with the aerial because nothing exists. We don't have a map that shows us that. Now, I learned that in 2008, when these 20-year leases were entered into with these leaseholders on the 3 islands, Havemeyer Island, Sexton Island, and Capri Island, there were certain conditions placed in the leases. One of the conditions was that each lessee that would own a structure on this leased property, public property that is leased to these people, they would go to the building department and submit all existing floor plans and renderings for any structure that exists on any of these 3 islands. None of those, they followed those, some of them did, and filed applications with the building department, so we may have some renderings. None of those permits were ever closed out. No certificates were ever filed on any of the 3 islands, as far as I'm aware. I am also aware, based on my conversations with the building department, that since 2008, no one has come in and filed any permits to do any improvements on any of the 3 islands that is owned by the town of Islip and leased to these people, which I find hard to believe. My understanding is, on this particular piece of property, the Cooper property, the annual rent last year in 2024 was $5,420.10. My understanding historically is that these were old clam shacks. I'd suggest when you zoom in on those aerials that they are no longer clam shacks. I have no idea what these structures look like, and I'm not prepared to vote on this today, and I would ask to table this item until we find out more. I was going to suggest a field trip with our $800,000 boat to go over and take a look at this. Now, I don't need to be there for that, but somebody from the town of Islip needs to go and take pictures of these structures before I'm willing to vote on them, and I would ask for more time and more information before this resolution moves forward, so I'd move to table.
We have a motion to table. Are there any other questions or comments on this resolution? I'll second that tabling motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Next item on the agenda, item 10, Town Board approval to accept funding from the Suffolk County Water Authority for the paving restoration of Center Bay Drive in West Islip. Any questions? Motion? By Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 11, authorization for supervisor to execute an agreement with Suffolk County for the installation of a driver feedback sign in Great River. Any questions?
Just one question, Will. Did we ever understand what a driver feedback sign is? Is it what I suggested it was?
Yeah, it tells you if you're speeding, going too fast. Yeah.
Flashes, yes.
Yeah, it flashes. Any other questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 12, authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement with Suffolk County Department of Public Works to install a driver feedback sign in East Islip. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 13, authorization of supervisor to enter into several agreements for programs or events to be held throughout the town of Islip. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 14, authorization of supervisor to enter into an extended license agreement with Great South Bay Seafood Company, LLC, for the use of 40 parking spaces located at the terminus of Ocean Avenue in Bay Shore. Any questions? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 15, authorization of supervisor to enter into agreement with 124 Maple, LLC, to exercise the option to extend the license agreement for a term of 2 years. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 16, authorization for the supervisor to execute a license agreement with H2O Limo to utilize designated areas at Maple Avenue Dock, Fair Harbor Marina, and Atlantique Marina for its water transportation service. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 17, authorization supervisor to consent to an assignment and assumption by Patricia Bollinger Squire for real property located on Captree Island in the Great South Bay.
Motion to table?
Motion to table by Councilman O'Connor. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? It is tabled. Item 18, authorization of supervisor to enter into a license agreement for the premises located at 24 Collins Avenue with the Sayville Cabinet for the Sick. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 19, authorization of supervisor to execute an assignment by Lawrence Tucker for real property located on Sexton Island in the Great South Bay.
Motion to table?
Motion by Councilman O'Connor to table, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? The motion is tabled. Item 20, authorization of supervisor to apply for and accept funding from Suffolk County for the purpose of providing expanded in-home services for the elderly program. Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. 21, authorization for supervisor to apply and accept grant funding from the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program for the Downtown Bay Shore Lighting Upgrades Project. This is kind of similar to what I think happened in East Islip with those lampposts. It's a great program the county has in place. Motion? By Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 22, authorization for supervisor to apply and accept grant funding from the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program for the Downtown Islip Lighting Upgrades Project. Any question? Motion by Councilman O'Connor. McElway. Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 23, authorization for supervisor to apply and accept grant funding from the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program for the Downtown Oakdale Lighting Upgrades Projects. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. 24, authorization for supervisor to apply and accept grant funding from the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program for the Downtown Sable Lighting Upgrades Project. Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 25, authorization for supervisor to execute any and all documentation on behalf of the Brentwood Water District in connection with the property located at 51 3rd Avenue, Brentwood. Any questions? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second by Councilman O'Connor? All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 26, authorization for supervisor to enter into a one-year contract renewal and amendment of the professional services agreement with Lyro Engineers, Inc. for site plan review for commercial development within the town of Islip. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 27, Town Board approval to adopt the revisions to the Administrative Procedures Manual, Section 324, Computer, Internet, and Data Systems Policy. Any questions? I'll make that motion and thank Doug Miller for all of his work keeping us safe and secure in this era of cyber attacks. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 28 are the appropriation transfers. Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway? By Councilman McElway, second. By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 29, Town Board approval of the list of individuals submitted by the 5 ambulance corps for participation in the 24 Service Awards program pursuant to the requirements of the Service Award Program, which is LoSAP, and an opportunity to say thank you for the many volunteers across this town. Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 30, authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement with Viability, Inc. for a work experience program for students throughout the town of Islip. Any questions? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 31, authorization for supervisor to execute the second option year for the contract DAT 2023-001 with Safety Markings LLC for runway rubber and paint removal and restriping at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second.
Second.
By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 32, authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documents. Change order number 1 for a consultant agreement with Sky Energy LLC to provide additional professional services to the Department of Aviation for air service development and other services to promote Long Island MacArthur Airport. And good opportunity to note that we have another airline starting and announcing later this month. Any questions? Motion. Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 33, authorization for supervisor to execute any and all documents to exercise the third option year to extend the contract DAT 2021-006 with Simbrandt Aviation Services for the repair and preventative maintenance of the automatic doors at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman McElway. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 34, authorization for town clerk to advertise for public hearing to consider amending Islip Town Code, Chapter 39, peddlers, and Chapter 60A, vehicles off-road. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 35 are the special events. Noted is the block party on Community Road, which is item number 1.
We were not all invited.
No, but I'm
Could've
sure if you
invited
wanted
us,
to
but
drop by,
she made that
especially
appeal.
Councilman McElway, they'd be happy to have him come. Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman McElway, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 36, and I just want to use this opportunity to thank Commissioner Shelley LaRose Arkin for all of her efforts on behalf of Long Island MacArthur Airport and getting us to where we are today as an airport. And we'll make the motion for the appointment of Robert Schneider to the position of Commissioner of the Department of Aviation and Transportation. And I'm sure that Shelley LaRose Arkin will do an excellent job. The resolution also will be appointing her as the Executive Project Lead with everything that's going on. It's such an exciting time for the airport. So I think it's a great team. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. We have no other business before us. Oh, I am so sorry. Jeff.
Good afternoon again, and my appearance, if you need it again, is Jeffrey Panacci, Assistant Town Attorney, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York.
Jeff, into the microphone, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I did have an opportunity, so the board is aware, to speak to a representative from the family as well as an insurance representative and I believe a property manager that are here. They did intend on signing up to speak. They didn't know that they had to do that. We had a conversation outside. That what they informed me of was that there was, unfortunately, a fatality that occurred during the house fire back in January. And due to that, the property was considered to temporarily be a potential crime scene. That delayed the insurance process and delayed, obviously, any action taking place at the property. They did file an attempt to file a demolition permit earlier this month on May 8th with the building department. I believe that they were told that they needed certain things. There's possibly asbestos present at the property. They also needed some disconnect letters with regard to utilities. So they are planning on doing that, and they expect to get those letters by the end of the month, and they're hoping to be able to do the work to clean up the property themselves.
Okay, so based on that information, motion to table that particular,
I'll second that motion. Yep.
let me just put it on the record, that was North Windsor Avenue, Bay Shore.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved, and we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.